Hi and welcome to the section that's going to talk about fitting the DreamMaster Light Mattress Elevator to slatted beds. If you've watched the divan section, I always think divan beds fitting is fairly straightforward. Most divan beds are pretty much the same. The difference with slatted beds is that some beds have good, firm, strong slats like this one, but then you also get beds, what I call bouncy slat beds, where the slats are quite thin and they curve upwards slightly in their natural resting position, which is designed to give a bit of spring to the bed base, but in my experience those slats don't tend to be very supportive. Out of preference, I would always rather put a board across those slats first. Invariably, I would use something like a 5 or 6 mil thick, a piece of plywood or a piece of MDF. And the reason I use something quite thin, especially if you use something quite thick, then the transition between the height of the bed base and the elevator is quite significant. So I prefer something fairly thin. It still spreads the load quite nicely. The other aspect is if the board comes just short of the edge of the bed, you can still fit the straps nicely. But if you have a board that comes all the way to the edge of the bed, on some beds you might end up strapping it like a divan. I've also come across slatted beds that have metal tubes that run across instead of wooden slats. The metal tubes that I came across were probably only about 1 centimetre in diameter, and they were hollow, so when I went to put some weight on them they bowed quite easily. So again, out of preference, I would put some kind of board on those to spread the load. I do know that some people have fitted an elevator like this straight onto sprung slat beds. But I'm just not entirely comfortable, and I would rather fit a board first. The other thing with slatted beds, this has a footboard. Some slatted beds, especially the metal frame ones, don't have a footboard as such, so we will talk about that when we get onto the strapping a little bit later on. For the time being, this is what you get in the box. So we've got the elevator with a 2-button hand control. We've got a pair of strap brackets. We've got 2 identical brown straps, 2 identical cream straps, the instruction sheet, and the DreamMaster comes with the transformer attached to the frame with a couple of cable ties. It's important to remove that before you install it. In this installation I'm going to be using the transformer that we've had for some time, but in the next few months you might start seeing a newer transformer coming through. It looks slightly different, performs the same function with 3 sockets, but I won't be using that at the moment. The other thing with fitting to a slatted bed is that you'll only end up using 1 brown strap. So the straps are identical, but the spare one I'm going to put out the way. You may need to use it later on, so it's probably worth keeping it handy. Finally, the difference between a divan bed and a slatted bed installation: the strap brackets come set up like this out of the box, with the strap coming up through the slot. When you're installing it onto a slatted bed, you need to take that strap down through that buckle, and you need to do the same thing on both sides, like that. And we'll come back to those a little bit later. And for the time being, I'm going to plug in my transformer. And the main cable for the elevator has a yellow plug on the end of it. I like to put it down between the slats. I take the strain release strap off of the transformer, put it to one side, and the yellow plug is going to go into the yellow socket, and the 2-button hand control is going to go into the white socket, and then replace the strain relief strap. There we go. Make sure it's unlocked, and the elevator should elevate and go down again on the hand control. I'll pop that up there for the time being. So these are the straps we're going to use, and I'll move the instructions out the way. So the sighting of the elevator, it goes about 5 centimetres from the top of the bed, which is important if someone's got a thick headboard. You don't want the backrest to rub against the headboard. In terms of positioning across the widthways of the bed, the motor is the central part of the elevator, and you want that in the middle of the bed. This is obviously a single bed. As you go out to double beds, the motor is still widthways in the middle of the bed, and it lifts the full width of the mattress. The top surface of the elevator has the width adjusting sections that we refer to as trombones. You can either just pull the spring pin backwards and they can adjust in and out, or if you pull it out and turn it through 90 degrees, they stay unlocked and then you can just adjust them this way. So with the elevator in roughly the right place, I'm going to start with the first strap bracket. I'll put it over there, and then this one over here. What's going to happen that's different to the divan is that this strap I want to go between the slats in a straight line. Some slats have like a ribbon tape down them. I don't want it to go around that and back in again. I literally want it to go straight down between the slats. If I offer this up to start with, I know I'm going to be putting this prong into here, and that strap is going to go straight down the middle. If my slat spacing was different, I'm just going to move the elevator to illustrate that. I'm going to move it down a little bit. I might end up in the position where if I line it up, that strap will come down and it will hit against the slat underneath it. There is a buckle on this strap bracket, which if I push it up, I can slide it up. And then even if that slat is there, I can still put the strap down between the slats and connect it up so the strap is going to come out directly from underneath. Okay. For the time being, I'll just take that off again. I'll reposition the elevator correctly, about 5 centimetres from the top of the bed and about in the middle, and I will fit it how I would do normally. So I can see that the strap is going to go straight down. So I shall insert my prong, push it all the way, and then I want the edge of the strap bracket to just touch the inside of the bed, and then I'm going to lock the trombone in place. The tail strap I will end up putting down between the slats. In this situation, for the demonstration purposes, I've got a lot of space here. My mattress is quite lightweight and it's going to be easy to put on the bed. I appreciate that in a client's home, quite often you have bedside cabinets or light fitting above. So you just need to be mindful of that when you're moving the bed and when you're fitting the straps and the elevator. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to pull the bed away from the wall slightly, just so you can see what I do around the other side. So again, I'm going to unlock the trombone, extend it widthways. If I just offer that up, my strap is going to go straight down. And I'm going to put the prong through the trombone, and I want it just touching the inside edge of the bed. And lock that off again, make sure it's locked. It's not so critical on a single bed, but certainly on double beds, you want to make sure that this is pretty much in the middle. There are numbers laser etched into the trombones here. I've actually got a reading of number 8 on this side and number 7 on this side, and I'm touching on both sides, so I'm happy that that's in the middle. Again, my tail strap I'm going to put down between the slats. At this stage, which again differs from the divan bed, I'm going to put the mattress back on the bed base. But just to explain what's going to happen, I'm going to end up with the first buckle. I'm going to tuck underneath the bed. Let's lengthen that so you can see what I'm going to do. The first buckle that slides, I'm going to tuck under the bed. I then find it easier to put a twist into that strap, and I'm going to shorten that buckle down so it stays flat against the side of the bed. I'll show you again in a minute as I replace the mattress. As I said, this is a lovely light mattress for training purposes. I know full well that 5-foot mattresses can be incredibly heavy, and it's normally a little bit more of a struggle than that. And as I said, I've got a lot of space here. Okay, so my one brown strap that I left down here, let's take that and let's try and show you more clearly what I'm going to do with it. Let's go the other side. Okay, so one more time. I've got one sliding buckle on there. I'm going to leave that under the bed, and I like to put a twist in that strap just to make it easy. When I'm connecting buckles together, I like them to be so that the extra strap is on the same side, and that when they pull, they remain flat. If you have the buckle around the other way, when they pull, quite often they go diagonally, which is when a strap can release slightly. Whereas if you have it flat, it's going to lock nicely. So I want it flat against the frame at the side of the bed. I'm going to take this buckle and connect it together, and then I'm going to put it across the top of the mattress. I want the strap to remain flat so the client isn't likely to feel it, and I want it right next to the mattress surface. So if you have a mattress protector like this one, I want to go under that. If the client has an incontinence sheet, again, I would go underneath that. I keep it flat and take it out the other side. If I move the bed again so that you see what I'm going to do. I wouldn't do this in a client's property, obviously, but for the purposes of the video, it just makes it a little bit more obvious. So the strap that I have the other side, again, the sliding buckle, I'm going to tuck under the bed, put a twist in that, and I'm going to shorten that down so it stays flat against the side of the bed. I'm going to find the strap that I left in here, and I'm going to connect those two together. I'm going to take the slack out of that strap. That one strap has then secured the elevator onto the bed base because it's going down between the slats. It's come around the outside of the bed and it's across the top of the mattress, so the same strap is also going to make the mattress bend in the middle. Depending on the type of mattress you have, depends on how much tension you want on that strap. This is a very basic foam mattress, and if I put a lot of tension on there, it's going to cause the mattress to deform at the edge, and the client might feel like they're going to roll out of bed in the night. So if I slacken that off a little bit again, what I want to do is I want to keep the shape of the mattress, but at the same time, as the elevator rises, I want to make sure the mattress bends in the correct place. Once I've done that and I'm happy, I like to try and tidy up these straps, and we don't want a trip hazard for the client, so I tend to lose them up under the bed somewhere. If we operated the elevator now, there are going to be two things that are going to try and happen. The first is that the elevator is going to try and move up the bed, and the second is that the mattress is going to try and move down the bed. As I mentioned before, this bed has a footboard, which to some extent is going to stop the mattress moving down the bed. But even so, my default method of fitting the straps around the foot of the bed is to use a figure of 8 the same way as with a divan bed. After I've done the figure of 8 strap, I'll also show you a couple of other methods. If you have a bed without with a sleigh bed, for example, it's difficult, so I'll show you those methods as well. For the time being, I'll take my 2 cream straps and extend them. Because the elevator goes up to 5 foot, I've got a lot of strap here. I'm working with a single bed, so I'm just going to take some of the extra strap out. I tend to work with the male buckle first. I find the tail strap that I left before, and I put the male buckle up through that loop. If I take the sheet and the mattress protector off of the bed and put them over there, then what I want to do is I want to have one buckle coming over the top, and I want to have another buckle going underneath the bed. And then I will do the same thing on the other side. So the tail strap that I left here, I will split that strap, take a little bit of extra strap out, take the male buckle and take it up through that loop, take it to about halfway, I'll put the male buckle over the top, and I'll take the female buckle underneath the bed. Let's straighten it out so you can see. So it stands to reason, the same as the divan bed, that if I connect one strap up to itself, it's going to try and want to pull to the edge of the bed when I tighten it up. So what I want to achieve is effectively a figure of 8. So I'm going to connect one strap up to the other one diagonally, and then I can do the same thing on the other side. With the divan bed, I tend to tighten up these straps more than that, but I tighten them up with the buckles at the foot of the bed here. The advantage of a slatted bed is that you can kind of hide the buckles underneath the bed. So I'll just show you how I do that. If I loosen the top one off, I can pull the bottom one tight, and do the same thing on the other side. And I'll look at my other straps, and it just gives a neater installation. Out of preference, again, I would tuck those straps up on top of the slats so that they're out of the way. And that there's no risk of a trip hazard to the client. Once I replace the mattress protector and the sheet, if I can find them, then it makes for really quite a neat installation. You can be sure, because of the figure 8 strap, that the mattress definitely can't move down the bed, and you also know that the elevator isn't going to move up the bed. I'll just elevate the backrest and you can see that the mattress isn't moving, and I can also see that the elevator isn't moving up the bed. Now, as I mentioned previously, there are different versions of slatted beds, some with footboards and some without. So I'll show you a couple of other strapping methods that might be useful. Now, I've already mentioned the purpose for these straps is to stop the elevator moving up the bed and to stop the mattress moving down. If you have a substantial footboard like this one, you can be fairly sure that the footboard is going to stop the mattress moving down the bed. In which case, all you really want to achieve is the elevator, you want to stop it moving up the bed. And because these straps are connected to the strap brackets, what I could do is just take each strap, connect it around the foot of the bed, and then just tighten it up. You'd have to do one side, and then you'd have to do the other side in exactly the same way. So again, take the strap around the foot of the bed, tighten them up. I like to keep the buckles on the inside of the bed, just so it's a bit neater. You don't need to put a lot of tension in there. It will stop the elevator moving. And again, as I said, I like to take the extra strap and put it on top of the slats to hide it out the way. And of course, I would then replace the sheet as well. It's simple. As I said, the footboard will stop the mattress moving and they will stop the elevator moving. The final method that I would only really use if it was what I call a sleigh bed. If the bed doesn't have individual legs, a lot of them have quite a big footboard. I think the most extreme ones are probably the ones where the television comes out of the footboard, but they don't have individual legs, so this is a solid block. So you can't do either the figure of 8 strapping, and you also can't do this kind of strapping. In which case, the only thing you can do is to connect the two straps together and make one big loop around the foot of the bed. So for the time being, I'm going to put these around about the middle of the foot of the bed, and the same thing on the other side. I'm always mindful when I do this as part of the training, because I've already fitted the straps a couple of times, they end up being not terribly neat, but you'll get the idea. There we go. So I'll sit the other side. What I want to do, and as I say, this is what I call a sleigh bed with a solid board here, is the big footboard of a sleigh bed would stop the mattress moving. So again, all I want to do is to stop the elevator moving up the bed. And the only way I'll be able to do that is if that's one strap and that's the other, I want to connect them up opposite each other again, like that. And then as you tighten that down, what happens is, obviously I'll do it tighter than that, but what will happen is you'll end up with one big loop around the foot of the bed. I think that looks a little bit messy. What I would rather do, with a little bit more slack in there, you can just move the buckles to the side of the bed and then tighten them up underneath the bed, and it just makes it look a little bit neater. And again, I would tuck the extra strap on top of the slats. And the same thing on this side. Again, not a massive amount of tension needed, but just enough to stop that elevator moving. Hide the slats, and then replace the mattress protector in this case, followed by the sheet. And you still end up with a fairly neat installation. I've said it a few times, I'll say it one more time. What we were trying to achieve with these straps is to stop the elevator moving up the bed and to stop the mattress moving down. As I said at the beginning, there are more variations with slatted beds than there are with divan beds. But if you think about what you're trying to achieve and you use one of those three methods, then you can be sure that you're going to achieve your objective.